It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
And we're off and away for SRA.
And good evening, SRA folks, and welcome to our Tuesday night here at Season 8 at SRA, Division 4, Round 7 at Indianapolis, folks. We have crossed the pond. Finally, we've left the European, well, it's a Europe continent and all that, crossed over the pond, over to the USA, and just getting things going started here for the last two rounds. As a matter of fact, next week at Watkins Glen, but tonight we are at Indianapolis, one of the most famous tracks in the world, very known obviously in the IndyCar world class for their most famous event, basically in IndyCar racing, but also very famous for GT racing, although not the oval setup. Just your more like a road course here, as we've seen in a little bit. Let's move over to our track map view for a second here, for those who might not be familiar, but I'm sure most of you are. Let's get this going here. Take a quick look at the track map. Again, here we see the Indianapolis road course in the city of Indiana, of course, state of Illinois, United States. Track is just under 4 kilometers long, 2.5 miles, 15 turns. The most, let's say, technical sector of the track here is Sector 2. Very bumpy for most cars, let's say, here in GT class. As you can see, there starts with number 5, turns 5, 6, and 7. Have to get a really good exit out of that 7 on that straight. Maximize your speed there as you get to that 90-degree left-hander turn 8, and then the small, basically right, left, right out of turn 9, 10, and 11. That's usually where most folks have trouble with their cars. However, we are Division 4, and these guys have shown some extreme skills here so far, 7 rounds in. We'll see what they're able to accomplish here tonight. Before we head over to our race view, let's take a quick look at our driver standings here, as things have sort of updated a bit, and we do see still here Nick Wagner, THR Heel with the lead, 483 points on his McLaren. And we have Chris Sweeney now taking that second spot with his win at Oulton Park. It's 428 points, so just 55 points behind Nick. They're at the top. And Dudley with that P3 now, was P2 last week, but then again, not too far back, 410 points. P4, we have Andrew Berg, 376 points, followed by Selena Boonstra, 357, not too far back. And then we filled up the top 10 here with Mike Gino. We have Austin White-Scarver. We have Maxi Poe, Jess Osborne, Eduardo Rodriguez at the top 10. One thing to notice as well, P12 there at our standings, Curtis Adams is your silver leader. You can see there from the small silver icon on the left side of the flag by his name. He has 277 points, not too far back. You see there in P15, Felix Payan, 247. So we'll see how that turns out after tonight's event. Just before we go here, we do show the rest of the field on screen for just a few seconds. I know some drivers have not necessarily made to all the races. And let's go to our team standings before we move forward. We do have THR Boot there, Andrew Berg and Chris Sweeney. They've just been super consistent all around, all season long. 804 points. We have their P2, still Jess Osborne, Selena Boonstra, 659 points, but 145-point gap now, as Andrew Berg and Sweeney have opened up a considerable gap. And P3, we have Rapid Raccoons, OBTA, Big Daddy, and Curtis Adams. The first team there with a split with a gold and a silver driver, 572 points. So, that being said, let's move over to our race screen here. Let's get this moving on, going over here on our end, as drivers will be getting their qualifying started in just a little bit. So give us just a second as we get things rolling. Silver drivers will be going out in just about 4, 5, 3, and 2, and 1, as they will be heading out for the qualification. 10 minutes long qualifying. As you can see there at the top, the clock at the top of your screen, it's 6 a.m. in Indianapolis, and you can see that's actually here pretty dark. On first, I'd say dark scenario we've ran in this entire season in general. Next week we have Watkins Glen entirely race on the dark, but yeah, we'll see what the drivers are able to get here to qualifying going. You can see there as well, top right hand corner of your screen, track temperature 18 degrees, ambient 18 degrees, so it's rather cool compared to what we've seen before. Let's move over the camera over to somebody that's actually out on the field rather than just keeping on this pit. It's a very long pit exit and entry, so a lot of time you do not want to get a drive-through of any sort here in Indianapolis. And again, being the fact that the race is, qualifying here is rather dark, we're going to try to give a couple of more close-up cameras rather than far away, at least here for qualifying, and get you guys a better view of what's going on track. And maybe give you guys a few cockpit views and such and see how that goes. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. By the way, Adam will be joining us in a bit. He's got some he had to be taken care of. That's why I have not heard from him just yet. And we'll get things rolling in just a bit as we get here started at Indianapolis. Curtis Adams is your current silver leader. Again, I just went over the standings just a little bit ago, so we should expect to see some consistent racing from him, trying to snag that silver championship for D4. Again, there are two Indo drivers. All right, folks, as we see here, Adams has started his lap going there through sector number 2. Again, one of the most technical parts of the track. You can see here, very bumpy sector here, and this is a long left-hander. You got to make sure you nail this. Keep it within the race line. You could have potentially lose it, and getting a great exit here out of this turn. Very close to the grass is optimal for you to be able to get as much speed out on this back straight as you can. And checking on the chat, appreciate you guys tuning in. We got Andy here. It was taking place on the race tonight. Wishing Jess good luck. He's coming for him. We'll see how that goes. He said Adams is very fast. He's having a great season. Yeah, he's been having a great season. Yeah, and like I said, he's leading the silver championship right now. So maybe a couple of bad luck scenarios here and there, but he's been quite well. So we should expect him to be there at the top. A couple planets being served by the way as today. Unfortunately, some drivers will not be allowed, maybe during a qualifying ban and things of that sort, due to incidents that could have happened last week. We should see them maybe at the back of the field, as Adams is putting his first lap through. Comes in with the provisional pole, 137 for just about a second or so, and Daniels take that pole, 37.275. So Adams was going to give it a go one more time. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a ride inside with Adams here. Just to give you guys, again, having a race at night can be a little bit tricky as far as getting everything going when sometimes the track is so dark. Here in Indianapolis, we're lucky there are a couple of lights on the track. Not so lucky in some tracks, which are not meant to be raced at night, but still, we'll give you guys as much as we can. Let's go ahead and go on a passenger view with this Adams Porsche. Taking a look at chat as well, we have Ian money on Daniels for the silver win. Yeah, he does currently have that pole, but Adams coming for him. Adams got a pretty good lap right now, but might not be enough to take the pole. Daniels not improving his lap, so who is doing quite well now is Rufus in P4. We'll switch over to him as he's going to be crossing the line very soon. He might take that pole. Let's keep an eye as he goes flying through the last sector of the track. He's going to negotiate around the hairpin at the end. So lost a little bit of time there on the last sector. Might not be able to take that pole, but maybe he will be moving into P2. He's going to be given a try once again. And possibly P3, P2, close. And P3 he goes, puts Adams in P3. But then Adams, great lap there, sends himself to P2. And Daniels will be giving that a try again. So a couple of drivers I do not see right now that doesn't look like they will be qualifying. Looks like Morrison and Q Master are in the pits as silver. So, and we'll keep you guys an update once the Go drivers are out on the track. At the moment, by the way, looks like we have, at the end is we do have Sweeney with the lead, and looks like he has gone out during the silver qualifying portion, which is, you know, that won't benefit Sweeney as much, as the track will be more laid out later on for qualifying. You can see down in the top right-hand corner, we have the track as fast, and it's not exactly optimal yet, even though with these cars out on the track. So Go drivers should be able to benefit a little bit more once it's rubbered in a bit. So Sweeney's using his qualifying at a, not much to his advantage at the moment, but I mean, it's up to him at this point. We'll see what the stewards say later on, but that would be his 10 minutes of qualifying here tonight. And we just got about 3 minutes left in qualifying here. 6:07 game time, so you can see it's pretty dark. Race will be taking place at 8 a.m., by the way. So that will be some daylight for you guys to be able to enjoy that race on that early morning. We got Daniels coming through with a heck of a lap here. We're going to keep an eye as he's going to be crossing the line. And we have Ian there on the chat betting on Daniels, about to get a pole. Adam takes the poles right now, but Daniels snags that pole right back with a 200th of a second over Adams, putting Sweeney in third. We have Payan also coming through with a pretty good lap. He might move up. See as he goes around here towards the end. As he comes through, he's actually lost a little bit of time there. Drivers are improving. Every driver improving their current deltas. So we should be seeing this kind of flip around quite a bit. We have Ruffus, who hasn't had a lap that he would probably be proud of yet, but looks like he might be improving a bit. And switch the camera back up to Adams here. He wants that pole, 300th of a second currently on his delta. That would actually take him, basically snag the pole, but right behind him, Daniels also knows Adams is gunning for it. These guys are battling for this. This is going to be interesting to see. You can see Daniels there on your, coming up on the right behind Adams. Let's go in a little bit of interior passenger view a little bit. Follow along with Adams as he's going to be crossing the line just after sector 3 there. 90-degree right-hander onto the hairpin. Gets a great exit there out of last turn, pushing his car as wide as he can, getting that speed. That should get him a pole. Adams, here he comes, crosses the line. P1 for Daniels. Daniels not able to improve. He's going to go for it one more time. So Daniels on his McLaren, not able to take that, but he's going to give it a go once again. I don't know who's doing well as well. Sweeney was able to improve his time, but still on a P3. We have Friday P4 has put his Audi there at the top. Payan on that P5, have Hacksaw in P6 at the moment. So a lot of greens here on my broadcasting tool. Drivers are looking to improve their lap times. Again, track still fast, conditions not optimum. We'll see if that changes for the Go drivers. I mean, with all this early morning rubbering going on from these drivers, track still staying at fast. Temperature has risen to 19 degrees. But we'll see. We'll see what happens as we are following Daniels around. He wants that pole back, but doesn't seem like he will be improving. He will need 200ths of a second here. And Adams, who's invalidated his lap, unfortunately not able to improve. So Adams is out of there. He saw his Porsche on the outside, sort of disappeared for a second there, and Daniels is going to give it a go again. Kind of eats that inside curve. Got to be careful, especially with the McLaren. Adams in the pit. Daniels very close, but looks like he might not be able to get that exit he wanted out of the last turn. It's going to be very close, but not enough for the pole, it seems. We'll see if he's able to drop that time. So he does improve a bit, not able to take the pole. A couple of drivers. We have Rodriguez as well doing a little bit of improvement. Maybe shoot him to P7. And he does. Gets a P7 there at the end of the silver qualifying. And Go drivers are be out on the field. We'll see if they're able to do anything and get an improvement. Fast track still not optimum. So nothing that will be improving at the moment. Last driver coming through is Hacksaw, but does not improve his time. And let's take a quick look and see drivers on the field and who is leading these folks. We have Harold out there tonight, and it looks like his car number. Very interesting to try to see there on my end, but it's got to get a bit of a heli view here. A lot of cars on screen, you can get a better view of the entire track, even though it's dark. And here we go. Looks like Adam has joined us, giving a little bit of a sweeping view here through Sector 2, end of Sector 2. Just driving along there, you see Cockcroft on your left-hand side. A little bit of a drone setup going on. Again, track is pretty dark, but they will be getting their laps started very soon.
Looks like White Carver is going to lead that gold group out, followed by Cockcroft and Berg.
There we go, and here's our first driver coming through our, well, starting his official first lap. Track at 19 degrees, still fast. It'll take about 2 to 3 laps to get things rolling. And taking a look at the chat, you see Andy talking about Daniels being quick. Yes, and what is Sweeney doing? We did see Sweeney actually using his 10 minutes of qualifying, so to speak, even though he did that at the wrong time. So he should be staying in the pit lane for these next 10 minutes, although he's a Go driver. And we're getting some extra practice. You should not be going out again during Go. Yeah, so you have 10 minutes to qualifying. And, if, you know, sometimes honest mistake, you happen to just forget whether you go out on those first 10 minutes or the last minutes you were supposed to not get this on the bad steward side. You just want to stay in the pit. You know, I say I made a mistake here, and I will just go ahead and stay in the pits during the time I was supposed to do my qualifying session. So, as White's cover goes wide there, beginning of Sector 3, invalidates his lap. Switch over to Rodriguez, who shoots it straight. So that is going to gotta be really careful not to cut the track too much. They might get a DSQ right into the pit, so be very careful here, as he does have a yellow, has to wait for the entire field to go through. Cockcroft will be coming through very soon. Looks like will be the official first lap without invalidations, and he puts his Porsche in P10 as Osborne sends his Porsche to P4. And he had a great race last week at Olton, and sending him right up the standings he goes, because he looks like he figured out his Porsche. He was saying he wasn't putting the effort where Selena was doing most of the work, and he's like, I'm done with that. I'm going to put my Porsche up top. So P4 so far, a great start for him. Couple other drivers, we have Mr. Dudley Durai, currently in P7 with his McLaren. He did mention to me, as something I'll point out to you guys, and we'll take a little break. There were a couple livery changes for this week, and Dudley's was one of them. Unfortunately, our sync application we get our new liveries from, a little bit of a glitch on it, and he has not picked his livery up. So once qualifying ends, I'll be hopping out of the server really quickly and join it back for that race, so we can make sure that anybody that's missing a livery is got it updated for tonight's event. So, and we have Dudley, pretty good lapping coming through so far. This cuts just enough on that inside curb not to invalidate his lap. He's got a really good delta coming through. It might shoot him up all the way to P2. And Wagner has crossed the line. By the way, he's in P6, your season leader. Reynolds, P6. Now Pete Berg puts in his fastest lap, P1. They're at the pole, 36.390. What a lap from Berg. As we see Dudley crossing the line, gets himself into P8. Looks a little bit of time there at the end. And Berg was at actually a pretty good amount of practice this time around. Not as much as he did in Misano, but he managed 200 plus laps, but trying to get things going here and possibly another win at Indianapolis. You can see the car getting quite loose now. One advantage again. We talked about this earlier. We've got 3 minutes left in qualifying. The track has finally gone to optimum. So you see there on the top right-hand corner, drivers out on the track now should be able to get a little bit more grip and maybe improve their times. And this is going to be crucial towards the end of the session here.
That's good. About 2/3 away through his lap. Big Daddy looks like he's about 6/10 up. That'd be pole spot if he can hang on to that for the rest of the lap.
And he's right behind Berg, too. Keep an eye on these guys.
That number 54 Porsche has been a force to be reckoned with the last couple of weeks. He's had pretty much really good speed, top 3 speed, pretty much every track we've gone to in the past few weeks. It started off the season a little rough, getting into a few incidents and things, but definitely he's coming back strong toward the end here.
Yeah, that should have given him a pole as he crosses here. Yep, sends his Porsche to the pole. And by the way, Jez Osborne there, P3, heck of a lap for him as well. And Big Daddy, just what a lap from him on his Porsche.
Absolutely. We see a pretty big split so far between those top 3 gold drivers. 36.175 for Big Daddy, 36.390, nearly a 36.4 for Berg, and Jess Osborne with a 36.5. So more than a 2/10 split between just the top 3. So there's a pretty big spread there. And definitely more time to be gained.
And who we have not seen put a great lap to come through. I'm going to switch over really quick as Wagner crosses the finish line. And as I mentioned, right from P13 to P2. So puts his McLaren P2, Berg now in P3. Look at that close time. Just 0.15 of a second between the 2 laps. And Big Daddy, Jared. Again, we mentioned now the track being optimal. We should see improvements from these drivers on the last few laps they try to put through. So.
Yeah, we should see possibility for 2 laps out of these guys who just crossed the line to put in a lap, and 1 from the rest of the field that's still mid-track.
And Berg, we're going to switch over to him. He's got a hell of a lap coming through there. He's coming through the finish line. He might take the pole back from Big Daddy as he crosses the line. P1, he goes on the 35s. What a lap from Berg. He is not messing around, and as Big Daddy right behind him starting his lap. So both going at it again as Wagner is trying to get that pole again. His delta practically the same, but what a lap. Big Daddy just positioning his Porsche there between the top. You can see Harold, P5. We have Dudley Durai finally putting his, I'd say, more of time resembling his pace there, puts himself right up to P4. Identical time, by the way, as Wagner. Take a look at those times, folks. It's literally 1:36, 3:75. However, Wagner get that time before he gets dibs on P3 for now.
Yeah, imagine me saying it was close split, and then they had to go and prove me wrong by getting identical times.
So I'll call you close here. I'm going to call it identical. Now, Big Daddy has a huge improvement now going on, trying to work that delta. Oh, he lost a little bit. We're going to switch over back to him.
Curse comes through again.
My goodness. Why do I say anything?
Looks like the hottest lap we got going is Reynolds down in P10. He's currently 3/10 up on his previous lap. That should put him somewhere around 4th or 5th, I believe.
Yep, he would shoot up quite a few spots. Let's switch over to Reynolds as he's crossing the line.
Lost about a 10th there. Looks like he
P8.
probably might gain 2 spots to 8th. Not
Yeah.
bad.
We'll switch over to Harold, who's got a little bit of an improvement as well.
Definitely a shout out
into the pit he goes, by the way. So, never mind.
To Adams and Daniels, they're the only 2 silver drivers hanging in the top 10 still.
Yeah, I mean, again, not as exactly as fair as all these drivers at the end. Gold got a gifted an optimum track.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right,
so
well.
that's a testament to their lap, though. I mean, they did it on worse conditions, on just fast conditions, and they still were able to put it in top 10.
Wagner crossing the line, not able to improve, so gets that P3. Big Daddy P2, And then we have Dudley Do right there with that P4, and then Harold P5. Osborne there, heck of a qualifying session from him. P6, Adams P7 with your silver driver leading them. We have Reynolds in P8, Daniels P9, and then we have Sweeney with P10 running out for your drivers. And let's go ahead and switch this over. Give us just a second here, folks, as we get things rolling to get the race started. Just about 2 minutes where everybody gets going. And as you can see, the day has gotten bright. Look at that. We are now at 8 a.m. Race time, no longer at 6. Track is optimum. Again, after all that qualifying sessions going on. It is 21 degrees, though, ambient temperature and track. So a little bit cooler. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have Adam go ahead and do a little bit of a grid wall command as I'm going to rejoin back on the server just to make sure I get those liveries updated here. So, Adam, you can go ahead and take care of that.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick rundown of the field. We got Bird starting pole. We got Big Daddy in that number 54 Porsche starting second. Third, Wagner. Fourth, Dudley Do Right. Fifth, we got Harold. Sixth, Jess Osborne. Seventh, we got Adams, yet another Porsche. Reynolds in eighth, Ms. McLaren. Daniels ninth. Sweeney starting P10, but I do believe we will see him drop to the rear of the field. Cockcroft starting P11. Barker 12th. White's Carver 13th in that Plan E Racing BMW. The Panda looking livery of Selena Boonstrauss 14th. 15th. Potvin, 16th, Walkowicz, 17th, Andrew, 18th, the Audi Friday, followed by the only other Audi in the field, Payant. We got Poe in 20th, 21st is Wicks in that camouflage Porsche, 22nd is Hacksaw, 23rd is Rodriguez. Sorry about that. Little control glitch. Where are we? 24th is Rufus. 25th, Rodriguez. 26th, Yazerski. 27th, Maxwell. 28th, I'm sorry. I'm going to slaughter your name, but I'm going to guess Boissonneau. 29th, Lee. 30th was Morrison, sorry. 31st is Cube Master, and 32nd is LaFlamme. So these drivers get them ready to take off for an hour here at Indianapolis. We should see a sunset transition. Will be really nice for us to watch as we head into the nighttime, as the driver is going to roll off the grid now.
Actually, Adam, we're actually early enough. It's 8 a.m. We're going to see the sun rise. So
okay.
Should see quite a bit of wonder how that's going to affect things. I mean, if the sun kicks in, and we'll see how that's going to go.
That will be interesting to see how that affects their cars and see how it affects their setups as they go through the race.
But thank you, Adam, for that grid walk. I am back in the server, so make sure all the liveries were updated. Unfortunately, I was not able to pull up Dudley's new livery. I mean, I got a dark setup, so we'll check it with him, make sure that that's ready to go for the finale next week. But as you can see, sunrise, as I mentioned a little bit there, you can see just a little bit of casting a shadow there on the car, as you can see from the right-hand side. We do have Berg leading the pack, so he's in it for the win. He wants to replicate the Misano win that he had two events ago. Last week, we had Sweeney who won. He's currently in P10. And as you can see, all the drivers coming down their back stretch here for 1 hour of Indianapolis, folks. 2 rounds to go tonight and next week. And things should get kind of spicy after tonight's race. There's quite a few positions, and the season winner is not set at all. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens after tonight. So. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the leaders here. I'll get you guys a front view as we get things rolling at a start. It's always nice to get that front view in Indianapolis, see all the cars almost kind of coming all down together to turn 1. as they're getting ready to sector 3. They're lining up. Formation lap is coming to an end. Side by side lineup they go. Berg will have the inside line. You know, some tracks have that odd disadvantage, as we talked about. That was two races ago at Misano, where as a leader you don't necessarily gain from it. But being it is a right-hand turn, and after a long straight and basically a 90-degree right-hander at the end of the straight, things should be better. Some people have called this Monza 2.0. Hopefully we do not see anything of that sort tonight. So. All right, folks, here we go, getting things rolling as we are starting our round 7 at Indianapolis. We have the drivers leading us. Here we go as they're coming down the straight. Big Daddy very wide on lap, and we got green light, folks. Green light as we got our 1 hour of Indianapolis started. It looks like Berg, a great start from him. Should be keeping his McLaren behind. You can see Wagner on the attack on the inside. So trying to do a little bit of it. Looks like Big Daddy might have very close into turn 1. Oh my goodness, and a tap. A tap from Daddy. Oh man, a couple of incidents back there. Looks like Wagner and a Harold as well involved. As looks like Osborne and Burr came out clean there at the front. So this is at the beginning of the race, which is a good thing. So things can be caught up. But man, a little bit of a tap there. It looks like Big Daddy might have lost a little bit of his grip and tapped into Wagner's rear quarter panel on the left quarter panel. So, and Berg and Scave there with a 1.6 second lead due to that scenario. So looks like all drivers are back on track. Car number 6, by the way, was Morrison. Unfortunately started from the pits, and that's why you see his car there by itself there on the race on the track map on your right hand side. So we'll see if he's able to catch everybody up. Another yellow, lots of yellows, lots of incidents there on the sector 3. Oh my goodness. Oh man,
see Cockcroft backwards right in the middle of the track.
Lee just lawn-mowing on the outside. Got to be careful not to get a straight drive-through. Oh man, so a lot of incidents there. At least it's the beginning of the race, so hopefully no major damage, just a couple of taps there. But man, my screen lit up totally yellow there for a second, Adam. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, rough start for a lot of these drivers. Luckily, obviously before any pit stops or anything, so they'll have time to recover, hopefully, and we'll have to track their progress coming back up through the field. But a hard day for a lot of really fast guys already.
Harold has gone to the pits, and I'm not sure if that was a retirement to the pits or if he actually decided to go in. He's in there for a good 48 seconds already, so he must have had some major damage from those hits. And he might have retired to the pits. I wasn't looking exactly at what was going on, but man, you hate to see that happen. And we can see there Berg just, he had that pole. Looks like he lucked out among everybody. And Dudley has moved up the 2 spots. He started P4, now P2. And Jess there, P3. 3-spot gain from him, and Big Daddy has lost 2 spots due to that tap there at the beginning of the race. And Berg looking to replicate that race win from Misano. He can keep it consistent. He's pacing quite well compared to some of the drivers following him. So,
yeah, and we had the Ferrari of Ruffus, actually.
Ruffus.
Number 280 Ferrari was backwards and off track yet again. We see a couple more off track. We see an Audi there. I'm not sure if that's Payan. I think it is.
That's Payan, yeah. It looks like he's might have some major damage. It looks he remerged on the track, but his drivers have to be careful.
Major. I don't think his steering. I think his steering's probably gone. I see his right front tires at about a 45-degree angle to the right, so I think that Ferrari is pretty destroyed.
He's keeping it out on track. Got to be really careful. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Looks like there was Yasirski, I think, maybe behind him. Oh man, his car is toast. He needs to get to the pit ASAP and try to salvage this race, but oh man.
So getting there in itself is going to be a struggle. Having a hard time turning that thing left at all.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very hard. And He's trying to. He looks. You can see his tire marks just dragging on the floor. There you can see as he's bouncing off the wall, trying to get his car into the pit as fast as he can. But man, he must. We didn't catch all that on camera, folks. But man, it looks like he was the result of a bowling ball here. His Ferrari's completely shot, and hopefully he can get that repaired and back on track. As you see Laflamme there on the pit as well. Looks like he might be. His car does looks like it turns at all. So not a great start from him. Oh man. Looks like we have somebody on the chat. M. Harold crashed out and all my fault. I absolutely killed Walkowicz. Oh man. So yeah, sometimes you know, things can happen at the worst part of the race. Anyways, I saw that. We'll keep an eye there on whether Ruffus is able to get his car back, and who's left at the last right now is trying to get a race going again is Wagner. He is way at the back. He's already pit, by the way, so he's just merged in, mixed in with the rest of the drivers, so not necessarily beneficial to him, as he would need to worry about some blue flags and such at the same time trying to work his way back up. He's way back. Actually, it's actually P28 after a couple drivers have gone into the pit as well, so things just get interesting. Wagner with the season lead, he's leading the championship, and it's almost as the current current standings. We're just 5 minutes into the race, but it's going to mix things up there at the top quite a bit if things stay with the current standings at the race as we see here now. So
Yeah, already a pretty eventful start here at Indianapolis, which usually isn't that eventful outside of potential turn one problems, but it's already been a catastrophe for a lot of drivers here.
yeah, normally, yeah, as you mentioned, it's just a couple of 90-degree turns that just really people just tend to forget. Drivers forget that they need to really watch their brake markers, especially when following somebody close enough. And we have Friday just stopped in the back of this, on the back straight, just parked his Audi there. Maybe some technical issues with his Audi, but he's out of the way, so no danger to anyone. But
ooh, fifth place, we see Adams has to give up, forces Sweeney off the track, has to give up a spot, went off track and gave up the fourth position to Big Daddy, his teammate. Might have been trying to get out of the way and just went a little too far out of the way, but it's causing a little bit of problems for himself and Sweeney.
There's a heck of a group coming down the straight here. White Scarver, oh man.
Yeah,
and Sweeney on the inside.
Was pretty spread out a lap ago.
And look at that, Sweeney was... he had the inside
White Scarver
line.
has to dive to the opposite side of the track to avoid.
It just looks like he was being very careful, and he just decided to just let Sweeney go, sort of. So you go battle with Adams again. So, and Sweeney started P10 on P6, by the way. Checking out the chat, looks like Friday had a wheel issue, so he had to pull over. Oh man, you hate to see that. So yeah, he's pulled over on the side of the track there. You can see his Audi, and it looks like a wheel issue might have finished his race earlier than what you would want to see.
Let's tell you what, let's go on board with, let's see, anyone back in that train, like through 8th through 12th is all just a mess right now.
It is like total mess. I'm going to switch over to Poe, and let's take a look and let's follow him a bit let's follow around him a bit. See what's going on here, as he is a little bit, he's just kind of keeping his distance much. Oh, very late on the brakes there.
Yeah, this group just keeps getting stacked up over and over again. He just got overtaken by Reynolds.
Yeah, now
Black and White Planty Racing in McLaren.
Look how large this group is. I mean, it's practically, I'd say, basically we have White Scarver, we have Boomstrip, Barker, Daniels, Reynolds, Poe, and Drew. And no Maxwell, by the way, P14. Not too far back.
That view down the front stretch, just seeing a giant pile of cars coming into turn one's quite something, I tell you.
So you can't really tell how close they are until they get to turn one.
And it has a way of bunching them all up, even if they weren't close.
Yeah, he does.
Very,
Everybody.
very easy to corner, just to overshoot. You got to have a pretty consistent speed in that corner, otherwise you're going to overshoot, and it's going to cost you through the next two.
Looks like we have looks like a blue flag there. Oh my goodness, there's a couple of position swaps going up. But let's go to the front of the field a bit. I'm gonna switch over to Barker and let's do a wing view of what he sees out of his BMW. He keeps that car on the inside, not giving any chance for Reynolds to attack. And Reynolds trying to find a way around. Very close driving going on from Reynolds. And look at Reynolds trying to attempt an inside there, but oh man, this is going to get interesting as they get to the middle of Sector 3. And Reynolds says, not yet now, not now. Maybe turn one, I'll attempt this again. Let's go outside view here with Barker. And then Boissonade, by the way, he's already pit, so it's not for a position ahead. We'll see if Boissonade's opening track for these drivers, but it looks like he's going to hold his BMW ahead of everybody. Barker letting him know, maybe trying to take on the inside, letting the group, but Boissonade says maybe on the back straight, maybe there, maybe just there. Quick update there at the front of the field, by the way. Dudley Do-Right does have the current race fastest lap. It's got a 36.947. That was his fastest lap just behind. You see this previous lap. Boissonade just out of the way he goes there, leading the train go. Just about a second behind Berg, so Dudley there just on almost maybe a strike soon from him. He's been pacing quite well. Pit window has been open since the beginning of the race, and out of all the drivers that have already pit, we have Whitescarver. He decided to, didn't see anybody else ahead of him pitting in. He's like, maybe I'll try my luck and maybe get some clear traffic ahead of myself. He does, actually. You can see the car 26 is going through just the middle of Sector 2 there on your mini-map on the right-hand corner. So you might have benefited him in the long run. He doesn't have to be battling anybody on track and hot lapping for a list a little bit until other drivers get that, as Barker loses his BMW on exit, completely went sideways, drifted, gives the position over Reynolds and maybe Daniels as well. Poe just sort of keeping things there on the background as they go together on turn one. Barker not giving that up yet. Very close there on exit, but looks like Daniel will finalize that take. And Poe looked to make the advantage as well, and Barker was not expecting that. He just, oh man, Barker just dropping a few positions here in just in one sector, as Andrew now coming absolutely crazy behind him as he goes wide. So that little mistake out of the last turn just cost him basically 3 positions. And it is where you get the most speed out of, so. And just not too far back there, we have Maxwell followed by Walkowicz. Was involved with an incident. That looks like Harold, he said here on the chat, it was his fault. So unfortunate to see that happen. Let's switch over to the top here for a bit as you just see Berg leading the entire race, and Dudley Do-Right not too far back at all. So this will be a battle soon. Osborne about 3.5 seconds there back, and then we have Big Daddy just about 2.5 seconds behind Osborne. But Dudley Do-Right super late on the brakes there, trying to get into a striking distance for Berg, but then not able to keep that going as Berg still leading the pack. And this is going to be a little bit of a battle and maybe a lap or two here, as Dudley is, previous lap for Berg was better than Do-Right's, just not too much, but still these two are kind of like on their league of their own right now. So
the lap prior to the last one, it was I believe was Dudley's best at a 36.880, so that was quite a bit faster than Berg the lap before, obviously. He was able to close right up on the bumper there before the little bit of an overshoot on turn 1.
Let's take a little bit of a in-cockpit view here with what is Dudley seen ahead of him. Let's see how close he gets to Berg's McLaren. And this is a battle for McLarens here at the top, followed by 3 Porsches. We have Osborne, Daddy, and Adams. Sweeney there on 6 with the McLaren, and we have Boomstra. As usual, they're hovering around the top 10. Nothing new to her at this point. So, and then we have Reynolds, Daniels, and Post. So just a load of Porsches and McLarens there at the front. As a matter of fact, only Maxwell P12 is the first non-Porsche or McLaren there at the top, followed by 2 BMWs. So, and Berg gets a little bit of a breather there. Just about a second. His previous lap about almost half a second faster than Dudley's lap. And once the race is over, we'll try to get a little bit of maybe Dudley on the booth, make sure his livery is ready for the finale next week. You do not want to miss that finale next week, guys. Based on what I'm seeing here so far, things are about to get really mixed up there at the top. So it's going to be, you know, whoever finishes ahead might win, basically, no matter. It could be within 1 or 2 positions. I'm telling you, it's going to be that close. And that is because Wagner was unfortunately involved in an incident on turn 1. And unless he's able to work his way back up as much as he can, we might actually have a lead swap if things stays as it is. So we'll see.
It's going to be quite the battle. He's currently trying to pass Selena Boonstra. Well, he's a lap behind, so he's got a long way to go to catch up if he's going to get back in contention today.
Yeah, he's currently sitting in P26 now, up to P40. You do earn points, so you want to make sure that you finish the race regardless. Every point matters. So, although it might not be, basically, Wagner did not take place on round 1, so that was his drop round. So this would actually be for points, so you want to make sure that he stays in the race and get as much as he can. As we see somebody pulled over there on the, looks like by the finish line.
Friday again, I believe. It's probably still having wheel issues.
Yeah, he's way in the back of the field at the straight, yeah, so. Yes, folks, we do have technical issues here on sim racing as well. It is not only in real life. Berg himself has a pedal situation he's dealing with, but he's not letting that get out of his way. He is going for the win.
Absolutely. He's got a Dudley Do-Right situation at the moment to deal with, though. The pedals are of no concern at the moment, but still managed to find plenty of speed with the Thrustmaster pedals he's using this week.
He's very close now, half a second, as Rodriguez is out of the way from the leaders. Actually, no, he's just merged in at the end and now affecting the leaders' line, both of them. So this is going to cause a little bit of a train here as Berg is going to try to find a way around Rodriguez. So this benefits Dudley and Osborne coming through behind as well.
Honestly, if I was Dudley's had really good pace. He actually posted another best lap of the race last lap.
36.
Or 36.857, so he picked up a few hundredths last lap as well. He's been pretty consistently in the 36s.
Now he's being held back as well.
Exactly. It'd be interesting if he pits now and gets himself some clear track to work with. He may be able to jump Berg in the pits.
And that's what White Scarver did. White Scarver said, I'm gotta get the hell out of here. He went into the pits, so he's being hot lapping, and he was up there at the front. So now it looks like both leaders have P1, P2 cleared Rodriguez. So battle for the lead, and while this is going to switch back here to P12, Walkowicz, Barker, and Max, it looks like there might have been a little bit of an incident. Let me rewind back a little bit here. As it looks like Max went wide and then try to battle for position again. A little bit of a tap there, but oh man, Walkowicz was able to hold on, and Barker just cleared both at the same time. So, oh man, was able to hopefully his tires are not entirely cooked after that slide.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for Maxwell. Looks like he may have picked up a little bit of damage on the front of that Ferrari. Can't quite tell.
Yeah, but Maxwell just all over the back of Walkwigs now, and man, he's just trying to find a way around. We know Maxwell is fairly quick. He's just have a streak of bad lucks.
And he's driving a massive BMW, so that helps too.
He's making it as big as he can, but look at the exit speed out of Maxwell out of the turn, and we talk about getting great speed out of here, but Walkowicz just positioned his BMW right where Maxwell wanted to get his speed out, and Walkowicz said, nope, not here. Now, Walkowicz might have some damage as well from that initial contact there on lap 1, so could be affecting his line a little bit.
Another line, it looks like the front lip is a little bit wrinkled on that BMW, but probably primarily will affect the top speed here as we come around the final couple of corners to the straight.
As we go in cam here with Maxwell is trying to get that wide line, maybe a better exit here onto the main straight, but Walkowicz was able to nail his sector, so opens up a small gap between the two. And from others on our SRA Discord server saying that the 296 this track is not very friendly to the 296. It's got a massive BOP of 40 kilograms. Again, some drivers might say, oh, you know, it's not too much, but depending on the skill level and gap that we're dealing with, that is a huge difference. So these drivers here in D4 are no joke. So Maxwell, we know he is pretty quick, and that might be affecting his race here tonight. He's actually started, by the way, in P28, way back on the field there, and he's in P14 now, so working his way up.
Yeah, definitely driving the tires off that car. You see him tail sliding a little bit out of almost every corner at this point, trying to get some kind of advantage on Walkowicz here.
We got a little loose. While this battle unfolds, let's take a look at another battle going on there at the field. We switch over to P5. We have Adams, we have Sweeney P6, so he got dropped down a bit, but Sweeney working his way back up. Well, Adams leading the silver drivers, and looks like Reynolds, by the way, into the pit he goes, so he will be getting that out of the way. And switch back over to Q-Master P15. And not too far behind, we have Lee and Hacksaw. So a little bit of a train going on there as well in the middle of the field. But for the most part, looks like drivers have sort of, well, I guess, sort themselves out, so to speak. But
yeah, well, hasn't quite sorted itself out yet. Is that battle for the lead? I think we're just gonna keep that up in the picture so you guys can keep an eye on that as it goes on, so we don't miss anything. Still, Dudley Do-Right trying to chase down Andrew Berg.
And you can see
versus McLaren.
You can see how different lines they take across the track, but yet they find themselves at the same spot.
Yeah, I definitely see a different approach from both drivers. Dudley tends to be quite a bit quicker through Sector 1, but then Berg usually pulls a little bit of a gap towards the back half of the track.
As we can see, Q-Master making a move here on the inside, just clearing, looks like Boissonnaud. Was a blue flag, by the way, so Boissonnaud just kind of out of the way I go. But Lee has not yet cleared. As we are now down in basically, well, 36 minutes left here at Indianapolis. So 8:28 a.m. sun has officially come up. Track has gone up to 22 degrees. Yeah, and it did. Well, you hope these drivers got their pressure set right. I mean, it was rather cold at the start of the race, and if you didn't get that set properly, by the end of this race, track temp will get high enough where you could have a pressure or basically tire temperature issue. So, want to make sure that that's taken care of.
And I have to wonder if that's not why some of these drivers. I know we saw Maxwell getting really loose as he was trying to chase down Walkowicz. Maybe that was some of his problem, was a bit of a misadjustment on the pressures, not expecting it to be quite as warm as it is for this morning session.
On Friday, by the way, still having some wheel issues. He's got the yellow flag, trying to get that taken care of. Again, we'll be earning points as long as he finishes the race. So Dudley, oh my goodness. And I have, by the way, I did switch over to Reynolds on the main feed. He's just right behind Dudley and Berg there for the lead. He does have Potvin to worry about, not too far back behind him, so that's for position, but he does let the leaders through. And you can see they're not too far back. We have Osborne coming through with Big Daddy.
In that battle between those two, between Reynolds and Potvin is 21st and 22nd, I believe, so that's not nothing to do with the leaders' battle there. Just good props to both drivers for letting those leaders keep battling each other and not being too much of an obstruction there.
Yeah, it just seems that the leaders, Berg and Dudley, are just one lap you take, the other lap I take, and let's decide this on the pits maybe. It's just sort of see who's going to win.
That's what's going to decide this. The win possibly is how quickly they execute the pit stops and how quick they're able to get up to speed on the cold tires and everything after those stops.
As we see here, a little bit of a battle again. This is between that was close, and that was a blue flag. Boyson out of the way he goes. Very close there, contact, but Q Master just still leading, and Lee on his AMG trying to find ways around Q Master, but Master, he's not letting anybody through. And then not too far ahead again, we have Maxwell, who we talked about earlier, maybe having some unfortunate tire issues, if you want to say that, but and if you guys are just joining us here on our YouTube stream, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is round 7 here at SRA. We have our Season A, Division 4. Again, one more round to go. You guys do not want to miss the end of this race, and you definitely do not want to miss next week's finale at Watkins Glen, as from the current positioning, things are about to get really mixed up there at the top among the Go drivers. Adams might have solidified their P5, I mean, currently P5 there, but P1 for Silvers. So he might take that win, but the Go drivers, it is a huge mix there up top with Sweeney at the top, Dudley not too far back as far as position goes between the two, and Wagner again on that early incident at the race. Depending if these guys are able to move up, they're both Sweeney and Dudley able to move up, and Berg with a win will shoot himself right back up the standings again. So, oh man, it's going to be interesting. Take a little bit of a drive here on a cockpit view with Lee. You know, we haven't seen the AMG as much. You know, you don't normally see that car as much on servers anymore. The ACC updates tend to favor 1 or 2 cars every time a major update comes through. And we don't see the AMG as much, but it's one of the other cars I actually used a few times other than the McLaren. It was known to be one of the fastest cars in Monza. And that's when I put a little bit of practice with AMG. It's a great car. I'm not too familiar with front engine cars in ACC, but still. We have Sweeney in the pits, by the way, getting that pit stop out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a look and see if he's able to nail that in. Want to make sure you nail that pit. Looks like he did, 5 seconds flat. So remember, P2 in the standings, and he is looking to basically possibly, depending on scenario right now, we have 30 minutes left on the race. That would be maybe possibly a P1, as we have a yellow. Looks like Q Master, a yellow. Let's take a look at the replay and see what happened here. It was like she was overtaking Maxwell Maxwell just, oh man, left no room there on the inside. Tapped and Q Master's car. He's stopped in the middle of turn 1, so out of the way he goes. Cockcroft goes. No issue there, but oh man, just Maxwell just closing that door. And Q Master said, hey, I'm still here, man. So just the tap between the two. And switching back to the leaders here as Dudley has gotten into Anders Berg's draft, so he is closing in really quick. Daniels with a yellow flag as well, by the way, and Dudley trying to offset Berg there at the turn 1. But look at that. What was that from Reynolds? I don't think he expected that. He's not battling for position. It just narrowly avoided Dudley, cost him some time. So actually gave Berg a breather. I don't think Reynolds was expecting them, or maybe not even looking at his brake marker, but all that gain that Dudley had and getting into Berg's draft just lost there. So about a 1.5 lead for Berg. And switch over to Cockcroft near P14. He is being followed now by Q Master after that incident on turn 1. So Cockcroft has cleared Q Master again as Maxwell shut that door. Said, you're not getting through here. So I believe this is basically, in 30 minutes, this is the first time Berg looks like he might have a small little bit of a breather there as a leader, as Dudley, the right, has been consistently pacing just slightly faster than he has. Berg's fastest lap, by the way, at 36.957, while Dudley's fastest lap was at 36.857. And
we see that actually the last couple laps for Dudley have been slower. We saw a mid-38 the lap before, and just now he ran a 39. So pace falling off for some reason.
No.
For Dudley,
that was the cutoff from Reynolds on turn 1.
Ah, true.
He just absolutely sent it, and Dudley's had to avoid that. And I'm sure Reynolds would have really had a field day there if he tapped Dudley. So I think he would work his way back up. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, they've been pacing quite faster than the rest of the field, though. So
actually gains quite a bit through the first sector there. Takes it from a 1.8 second gap down to 1.4, so almost a half-second gain just through the first sector.
Yeah, one thing I noticed from Dudley's driving style, he's super late on the brakes. It's just on a straight line and just maximizing that grip through the brakes as he goes through turns. So where Berg is a little bit more, I'd say more turning as he's braking the car, but different lines. But you can see Dudley getting really late on the brakes, and that's where he's able to basically make up a lot of the ground.
Yeah, overall between our, just taking a look at the team points right now, THR Boot and that second place team of Comic Racing Lunar Motorsports, that of course is Jess Osborne and Selena Boonstra on their Porsches. It's going to be an interesting day. Both teams right there close to each other. We see Boonstra just 2 positions away from Sweeney, and of course Jess Osborne sitting in the final podium position here in P3, just two spots away from Andrew Berg. So overall, it's going to be really close on points. Probably won't be many gains today if it stays as it is. With, of course, coming down to the finale pretty soon here. They're probably hoping for a little bigger of a game, hoping Berg would have some sort of issue, but so far we haven't seen that today. But still got 25 minutes left. You never know.
Yeah, and if things stay as they are now, remember Wagner, who's leading the championship, you can see there at the bottom of the standing screen there, 23rd. However, a lot of drivers ahead of him have yet to pit. So even though that tap did cost him a lot of time to start at the start of the race, but he's trying to work his way up as much as he can to maybe hold on to that lead going into the finale next week. So
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the individual drivers' standings are probably going to be a lot closer in the end of the season. That's going to be the battle to watch. With points after last race, Nick Wagner has 483 to Chris Sweeney's 428, and Dudley Do-Right still within striking distance as well at 410 points. So that's what those two were looking for on the day, is for Wagner to have some trouble, which we've seen that he has so far. Definitely not an ideal day for him, so those two are going to make some pretty big gains, and I think the individual point standings are probably going to come down to the finale to decide who ends up taking the title.
Yeah, and Sweeney's currently P16, leading the drivers who have already hit pit, and then we have Wagner P23. So while that's not going to affect the standings, what's changing things around is the fact that Berg is basically, you know, if he keeps it as a win and he's about 100 points behind, he's going to mix everything up there at the top along with Dudley. So
speaking of Bert in the pits currently, we'll keep an eye on our timing and scoring, see what kind of pit stop he's able to pull off.
It looks like there was a 7 seconds, so based on proximity that we had earlier, remember Dudley, 2-second difference. Dudley needs to nail that pit, and if he does, they'll come out together in turn 1.
I think he may take the spot if he's able to rip off a 5-second pit stop, which we've seen quite a few drivers have been able to already. We see Whites Carver, Rodriguez, Sweeney. Quite a few have been able to get those 5-second stops. If he can do that, I think he might just take that lead over from Berg.
Yes, you got to remember too that, I mean, if they come out together, if Dudley nails that pit stop and they come out together into turn 1, the car on track does have an advantage of being a left-hander, depending where they come out, but the next turn is a right-hander, so it depends really where he comes out. It's going to be interesting when Dudley pits. We're going to keep an eye on that, and there's going to be a very close battle there at the end. So, yeah, we'll switch over to Maxwell. Currently, that P10 of the drivers have not yet pit, followed closely by Lee. A little bit of a wing view, as we can see here, as this is the nearest battle on the track, and this doesn't happen very often. And we do have 29 drivers here tonight, so some drivers are not making the event tonight. You can see Maxo trying to push his Ferrari, but look at that AMG just growing as we. Ooh, look at that.
Top end as he's going to take the inside into the corner. Maxwell's going to pinch him down. Maybe slight contact, but not much, if any.
A deja vu with Q-Master earlier.
Definitely going to defensively take that corner and pinch him down as tight to the to that big curb as he can. And he's going to keep that spot for now.
Let's quickly switch to Potvin and Payan, as they are also battling, and looks like Payan has taken the spot. Potvin just sort of out of the way. He's closely followed by Daniels, who I believe was involved in that whole, well, it was a whole mess there on the beginning of end of Sector 2 on lap 1. A lot of cars with a yellow. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, we'll switch over to Daniels here. Just a little bit of that. It's a whole mix of drivers with blue flags and such due to those early incidents, but Potvin has made his way through. And you can see Daniels followed by Andrew. This is for position as Daniels, my God.
It is two simultaneous battles for position. Proving us wrong once again. There are close battles going on track. We just have to look in the right spot.
And Payan was like, I want none of this. You guys can go through, and I'll worry about that later. Let's go right along with Andrew here for a bit, as you can see as the car goes to the Sector 2 here, just the track is just very bumpy, just not your usual flat track you normally get. But see, Andrew goes very deep on the turn, trying to get as much speed as leading into the back straight here. That gives actually Daniels a little bit of room. Now, Daniels is a silver driver and Andrew is gold, but, you know, in the end, you just want to win. You just want to be ahead of somebody else because points are still at play, regardless of whether you're gold or a silver. So, as Daniels makes his way through and Andrew gets stuck. Side by side still. That gives that gives Daniels a little bit of breathing room there as they were negotiating some blue flags. So that will be a battle for another. Do-Right is in the pits. There we go, folks. Do-Right in the pits. We're going to switch to the heli-cam as he will take a look at how this is going to unveil it in just a few seconds as he nailed that pit stop. 5 seconds. So, oh, man. You want to get Andrew, you want to get Berg on the PIP there, Adam, see what happens when they come out together. We'll keep an eye on this. So you can see that Berg come flying down the main straight. Very, very long. And this is where Dudley will get full speed on his McLaren. And let's keep an eye on this. Look at Andrew, like Berg on the outside. Here he comes, and they're coming together. Oh, man, look at that. Just as you mentioned, just that extra 2 seconds, Adam. That's what cost that position. So Dudley, well, in a sense, overcuts after pit stops are done. So leading the race, great move here from Dudley. He was able to nail that pit stop with that 5 seconds. And we'll see what if Berg is able to maybe do anything here going forward, as they do have Q Master ahead of them as a blue flag. And now, about 15 seconds behind Berg and Dudley, we have Sweeney, provisional P3. I can't see some of those signs. Somebody went straight onto that turn. They thought they were on the, maybe they were thinking they were on the oval Indianapolis, went straight through there. Probably not the best thing for you to do. We can see Lee is in the pits as well. There's a little bit of a McLaren train coming up there on turn 1. And Q Master is still not letting anybody through there, as affecting Dudley's lap a little bit early on the brakes. That shuts that door. Or maybe Q Master not seeing what's going on behind him. That's giving Berg a little bit of room to catch up here.
Yeah, just a note for those of you who might watch IMSA or other endurance racing, real life, there's actually a, for SRA rules, which of course, Assetto Corsa Competizione does follow, or SRO rules, sorry, SRA rules. Well, it's SRA rules as well, because that's what we are, but they don't actually require the blue flag driver to yield. They can still run the racing line. If they choose, they do not have to move out of the way of that lead driver. They can still race just as they normally would. It's just an indication for them that there is a faster car behind them. They, if they want to yield, they can, but they are not required to, like they would be in IMSA.
Yeah, and again, Q Master battling for position as well. I mean, he's trying to catch up. He's currently following Maxwell, although he's a couple of seconds
really
ahead of him.
Great pace out of Q Master right here. Maybe he needed the pressure, because really he's not even holding Dudley up enough for Berg to catch. Berg's still about a second behind, even with Dudley being held up here.
Yeah, and remember, as you mentioned, like Q Master has not yet pit, so that's why he can defend as much as he wants. So obviously now, right there going deep onto the brakes, and now he's able to get through. That might have given Berg, who's now falling behind. And there was, again, not a blue flag issue. Master has yet to pit. He's the last driver out of all the drivers who had not yet pit. So he's more than welcome to race for that position. But previous lap for Dudley. Dudley's just looks like he found his pace there towards the end of the race. He is just pacing extremely quick, and about a half a second lead over Berg, who's now fallen about a second and a half behind. So, and Berg may be hoping Q Master, like, could you guys go to the pits, please? I'm trying to battle here, but he's just not letting him through. He's keeping it consistent, so. Well, that battle unfolds. Let's switch over to Rodriguez, who's got Reynolds following him not too far back, about a half a second here as well for position, and drivers who have already pit. Oh, look at that, as Reynolds both gets kind of loose, but Reynolds is not enough to attempt an overtake here on the back straight, but Reynolds just falling super close. Let's switch over to him. A little bit of a passenger ride here with him as they go through the little S's there at the back. Great exit from the turn here for Reynolds. This is probably going to take him over to turn one, maybe here. As Reynolds on the inside, Rodriguez says, I want none of this. Reynolds just almost put the fear on Rodriguez, and I'm not going to close this in. I'll let you through. So great overtake there from Reynolds. Able to make that through, make it stick. Maxwell has also gone into the pits, maybe get that taken care of. As currently Dudley has grown about a 3-second lead over Berg, with Q Master in between. And again, Andrew Berg still not able to find a way around Q Master, as maybe pressures have come into play here, as track temperature is now 23 degrees. And we all know how our Seto Corsa Competizione is when it comes to tire pressures and temps. If it's not within that range, you are sliding all over. So.
What's going to be interesting to see who's somebody who's actually been, or two cars rather, that have actually been lapping faster than the leaders have been those two, that first and second place Porsches of Osborne and Big Daddy in the 92 and 94, or 92 and 54 Porsches rather, have actually had more consistently faster lap times than both Dudley and Berg.
And they weren't that far back. If they were about,
and they really weren't before they pitted.
So this might get interesting once they pit, as they're being held up by traffic, and then Berg finally found a way around Q Master. So that cost him, though. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Dudley now for the lead, you would call it. But we'll see when Osborne and Daddy pit. That's going to be very interesting. So. Switching back over to Max, who has already taken care of his pit. He came ahead he came right ahead of Wagner, who's trying to work his way back up as much as he can. And this is for position, so Max will have every right to defend. And great exit out of last turn here by Wagner. He's going to challenging him on turn one. As you can see here, the 296. Not the strongest track for that. And again, we saw Maxwell battling with Q Master earlier here on turn one. As they go together, Wagner has to go over that curb as they go nearly touching each other there on turn, and Maxwell just not letting him through. But then Wagner says, no, I'm getting through here. I don't know if I find the room here, but maybe a switchback from Maxwell for position here again. But Wagner now shutting the doors, so great move there by Wagner. It's just not giving up. The whole sector one basically battling through. So another position gain by Wagner, now in P18 provisionally. New has put on a crazy lap now, by the way. Boomstra 36.887. Heck of a lap, by the way.
Yeah, that's a monstrous lap this late in the race. That was early first and second lap times, and now see, of course, just 11 and a half minutes left. Laying down those kinds of times is immense.
That was nearly the fastest lap of the race. That's 50 minutes in, 36,887. And then not too far back here behind these folks, we have Cockcroft and Hacksaw, not too far back also. And they've already taken care of their pit stops. And one person, by the quick focus here, looks like Friday figured out his wheel scenario. He is back on track now, which is good to see. So he'll be earning some points at the end of the race. It's good to see him out on track. Hopefully gets that figured out for next week. No issues for him. And switch back over to Cockcroft. Looks like Hacksaw got a little loose there on turn 1. And looks like the drivers, they're at the top. We have Osborne and Daddy basically keeping us on edge here. Previous laps, they 38, basically at 38 even for both Osborne and Daddy. And we look at Do-Right and Berg, they've kind of stepped up the game a little bit. We have Do-Right at 37,962, and then Berg with a 38 even now as well. We'll keep an eye on when those pits get through. And these drivers just waiting until the last few minutes on the pit window to get their pit stop out of the way. So. And switch over to currently here Daniels. He is currently second for the Silvers. So Adams has been able to keep his car there at the top of the Silvers. However, he's yet to pit, so we'll see what happens when he's out of his pit stop. Excuse me. Actually, my mistake. Daniels has not yet pit as well. So Adams has been great pace so far on the race. And I'm not sure if Daniels was involved in that whole incident there on lap 1, which I'm sure the stewards will have a lot on their hands to review, because lap 1 incidents are all reviewed and what caused that whole car wreck scenario there on lap 1. So
I just want to point out the strong day that the two silver drivers of Adams and Daniels have had. Of course, qualifying within the top 10, as we mentioned earlier, despite having slower track conditions than the gold drivers got, and they've maintained that position all through the race. Curtis Adams currently sitting P3, and of course Daniels sitting P5. So really great day, strong day for those silver drivers. And, just a monumental effort to get that qualifying position and then keep it throughout the race.
And Cube Master P3 on the Silvers as well. He was giving quite a run there to the leaders earlier. And he's having it might be his best race for silver positioning here at Indy. So he's had some pretty good pace earlier. And Maxwell now here, as you can see, earlier when Wagner has overtaken him, he's having some pace issues, that's for sure, as Wagner has opened up a 7-second gap just 3 laps later. And now is having to hold off Cockcroft and Hacksaw, who are coming pretty hot. And just in between it, we have Adams, who has yet to pit. And it looks like Daniel's in the pit now. We'll keep an eye. Let's switch over to Daniels and take a look at his pit and see what he's able to get out of his pit stop. And hopefully he nails that 5 seconds, which is what you would want to see for a quick 1 liter of fuel. And out he goes. Great looking livery here from Daniels. Winter Star Mountain 1886. He nailed that 5-second stop, so he does what he has to do, keeping his McLaren there at the top. Both Dudley, Berg have already cleared and passed over Daniels, now in P11. Very long pit exit here at Indianapolis. Switch over the camera to Wagner, who has He's just working his way as much as he can. He is pacing on the 37s, by the way, trying to do as much as he can. He's doing low 37s, 37.480 for Wagner.
Yeah, actually a really fast group of cars here from 14th to 17th. We mentioned Boonstra's speed earlier. She's still holding on to that pace at a 137.1, and comparing that to the leader, or who will probably cycle out to be the leader, Dudley Do-Right, who ran a 137.8, and that's been about his average the last few laps. So these drivers pacing better than the leaders, actually, by about a half a second a lap.
Yeah, and again, due to could be tire pressures not within the range, but it looks like Wagner is taking full advantage of this as he is following Rodriguez super close, trying to do an switch on the inside. Rodriguez blocks that. It says not here. But it looks like Wagner with really good grip out of corners now is trying to find a way around. Again, every point matters, but he is being attacked by Lee as well. And ahead of him you have Daddy, but however that is they're a lap ahead, but he have yet to pit. So once they do, that will sort itself out. Just under 5 minutes left in the race. Pit window is open for another 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Q-Master decides to get his McLaren into the pits. So that might give a few drivers here some positions. As Rodriguez just all over the place, making this Porsche as wide as he can. Not giving Wagner any room, but... And Rodriguez just looks like he might have lost a little bit of grip there on exit. Wagner, great grip out of the last turn. Trying to maybe attempt on the inside, on the outside. Rodriguez will have to take the inside line here on turn 1. Oh man, that might cost Wagner the position as Lee's coming. So great defensive moves from Rodriguez, offsetting Wagner, trying to get through. A lot of drivers in the pits now. We have Osborne and Daddy. So, well, let's switch over really quick and see where these drivers are. You can see there Osborne leading Daddy on the pit. Oh man, this is going to be interesting. We'll taking a quick look at drivers again, the provisional leaders. And they have cleared them. So Do-Right, yes, cleared them as well. And Berg has cleared them, so they are just a little bit behind, but Osborne was able to hold on. And you can see here as Dudley has cleared us, so Berg, Osborne, and Daddy. So basically the top 4 has stayed together. Except that switch between Berg and Dudley, who has been on a new level here tonight in Indy. He is going for that win, and he's got just about 3 minutes to go, so hopefully no mistakes.
Yeah, that last podium spot for Osborne's going to require no mistakes too, because Big Daddy gained a little bit on that pit cycle. He was about 2 seconds behind. Now he's closed.
Yeah, about a half a second now. He's on his draft on straights here, and maybe Jess here may be thinking at least we have the same car, so maybe a little advantage. Hopefully everything is okay, and that would be Jess' second podium if he's able to keep that P3. He was in P3 last week, so coming through. And was going to switch over here quickly to Daniels under attack from Boonstra. Boonstra puts her car in P8 right on the back straight. Daniels won none of that. Andrew stayed behind, so Daniels just sort of hopefully not drop any more positions here, but Boonstra now working her way back to up to P8. Only driver out there still to pit is Poe, currently in P11.
As we saw there in the secondary feed, a big overshoot from Big Daddy puts him at quite a disadvantage, 2.5 second disadvantage from Osborne. Osborne's going to get some breathing room. It's going to be really hard for Big Daddy to do anything before the end of this race. Just about 1 lap to go now.
This is somewhat like a payback. Remember last week we had Osborne in P3 and Big Daddy was P2, and he was going for it for the, basically he wanted that P2 so bad. And this time around, Osborne's got that P3, Big Daddy's P4, but roles are reversed. So, Jess is having some fun now. It's like, I'll take this, at least for now. I'm not even switching to him now. No commentator's curse here. We'll keep it as it is. As Wagner, by the way, P14, so recovery race from him, unbelievable. After being involved in that turn 1 incident, both himself and Lee have cleared Rodriguez. Rodriguez has now the P16, so it looks like that will be his final standings here. So good amount of points still for him. I'll take that versus not finishing the race and gaining nothing. So. As Dudley has crossed in for the white flag, leading the pack, folks. Dudley, impeccable race for him so far. And Daniels there just holding on to that P9. Andrew just trying to find a way around. Let's go a little bit of a passenger view here with Andrew for a bit. And switch over here to Osborne. Big Daddy, again, like as you mentioned, overshot there earlier, but he is right back on the heels as Osborne is seeing that Porsche growing there for the last lap. He's keeping it straight. This is for podium, guys. This is for podium. Osborne wants that podium. Big Daddy wants that too. As they'll start sector 3 here. Great race, by the way, from Osborne. Starting P6 and moved up 3 spots. And Dudley also 3 spots, P4 to P1 after that turn 1 incident. As they'll start sector 3 here. Looks like Osborne will be taking that P3 so far. No mistakes. Big Daddy very close there on. Super late on the brakes, trying to find a way. Osborne just blocking that off entirely. And this is going to be a race to the finish line, but looks like Osborne will take it as Dudley takes the win here at Indianapolis. And you can see there Burr crossing the line as well. Follow close there. Osborne holds onto that P3, followed by Big Daddy P4. What a race. Adams coming in P5. Heck of a race for him. And Sweeney coming there on the last turn, always consistent there at the top of the board. Comes in at P6. What a race from him. White Scarver, again, pit earlier, moved up some spots as well. 6 spots for White Scarver, P7. And we have Boomster crossing in P8. Daniels, Andrew, P9, P10. Reynolds with that P11 coming soon here through the finish line as well.
We got Walkowicz, followed by Barker. There's 2 BMWs. And off the final turn, we got Nick Wagner coming home P12. Big comeback for him.
Great back from him as well. Rodriguez coming on the last turn as well. A couple of drivers coming out of the last turn. We have Q-Master coming through as well. Rodriguez. We have Maxwell, and we have Cockcroft coming out of the last turn, and who looks to be Payan, who will be the last driver through the finish line. Comes through, and that's it, folks. That is your final driver, Cockcroft there. Oh, man, Payan just almost say, hey, I'm still here, but looks like Cockcroft left his wheel just, hey, I'm going to smack into the wall there at the end, but crosses the line. So that's Indianapolis for you folks. We're going to get some interviews here, find out exactly what happens. Let's see if we can get our race winner Dudley here on the chat for you guys. Let's see if he's available for some chat. I know he wants to talk today. He had an impeccable race, so give us just a few seconds here as we get these worked out here for you guys. And let's see who is available. And I do see him available for a chat. I'm going to put him over in our cooldown room for a second here. Great race from Dudley. You know he has been wanting to come back here on the booth with a win. And give us just a second. Here we go. All right, Dudley, you hear us here at the booth?
Yeah, let's go.
Hey.
I hear you.
Congrats, man. Congrats on the win. Man, that was a heck of a race there between you and Berg there for a while, man. You guys
Oh my goodness.
talk to us a little bit. How did this plan out for you today?
Oh man. Well, I was a little bit unsure going into this race. The pace was kind of all over the place. The leaderboards during the week were a little bit hectic. I got probably the least amount of practice for this race of any race so far this season, and I had never done a lap on this track until Wednesday last week. So I was not sure what to expect, and was you know, it looks like there. I haven't looked back at it yet. The first corner incident there, um, really kind of worked in my favor. I hate to benefit from that, but at the same time, like, I'll take it, man. So otherwise, like, yeah, I was following Berg pretty hard. I felt like I would have had him, and then I think a lap traffic kind of, he missed his braking point, and I had to avoid him, and I kind of was like, man, I feel like I've lost my opportunity here to overtake, but thankfully, I guess I just got to jump on him in the pit stop, and that was that.
Yeah, we noticed also while you guys were battling before pit stops, I think somebody behind you forgot their brake marker and almost. I was like, that would have not have been pretty there in turn one, and I'm sure he feels bad about it. But I was like, oh man, you narrowly avoided everybody there, and we saw you had just caught up to Berg for P1, and then you had to like work your way back up. But we saw that, we're like, oh man, that was crazy. But overall, I mean, you had some pretty good pace, and yeah, there was an incident there on turn one, lap one, and yeah, unfortunately Wagner was involved, and then Big Daddy, and eventually later down like lap one later on, sector two was a complete mess. So. But things happen, it's racing, but you were able to come out of it unscathed. You had basically a perfect race, I'd say, overall. I mean, you had nailed your pit stop, and Berg was actually 2 seconds slower on that pit, which should have been quite a bit of a scenario there if he had just got that 5 seconds like you did.
Oh, wow.
So
my
that's why you
gosh.
guys came out right next to each other on the pit exit, and we're like, oh man. So
Yeah, I almost wasn't even sure if I cut him off a little bit there, but I was like, you know what? This is for the race lead, man. I'm going for it. So
yeah, everything was good. You came out. He had just come out of the turn one, so you had a little bit more speed, and the car was a little bit ahead of it. So it was it was pretty entertaining to see that going on as it unfolded. But
let's go.
Race
Yeah.
win. You mixed up the standings now with all this. We're gonna have to get an update because this is going to last round. You guys are gonna go for last round. It's gonna be the win. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna come out next week. But
I can't wait. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. And Adam, what do you got for Dudley?
No, I was just gonna say congratulations on a great day, and just curious how similar the race conditions were to what you practiced for. I know the sunrise start definitely throws a wrench in things as the changing conditions and everything as the track heats up and the ambient temperature heats up. Is that something you were pretty prepared for and expected, or was it something you had to work hard to try to overcome throughout the day?
Yeah, great question, Adam. Yeah, it was actually something I looked at pretty heavily in the setup. Like I said, I did not have near as much time to prep for this race as I usually put in, but thankfully, like right away, one of the esports setups I tried like just felt really good, and I was like, okay, I'm sticking with that. And then I had plenty of time to play around with the pressures, knowing exactly what you said, that it was gonna be a little bit reversed from the rest of the races we had this season, where things are cooling off throughout the race, and this time it would be heating up. So definitely made sure I stayed with pressures that were going to stay in the optimal range, even when things started to heat up. And that it helps that obviously your fuel load gets lighter, so it kind of works for you in that aspect. But definitely had to monitor that situation for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, that preparation definitely paid off. So congrats on another win, man. And it'll be interesting to see where the individual driver point standings shake out, because I know you were right behind Sweeney. So I imagine you'd probably take over that spot from him, and Wagner had a little bit of trouble today, so that's going to close that gap right up, and we might have a three-way battle for the individual points lead come the
Let's
finale
go.
here.
All right. Yes. Where did I didn't even look. Where did Wagner and Sweeney end up finishing? Do you guys know? I
I
don't.
believe Wagner came back to P12. Sweeney, I'm not sure. Do you have that?
P6.
Raph?
Yeah, he was in P6.
Okay.
So, and then Wagner had to finish. Well, that was basically once he was on that incident on turn 1. That's as much as he could go to work his way back up. So, still a heck of a race for him for recovery. So he mixed
Yeah.
everything up. So we'll see what happens.
Heck yeah. I mean, I had to deal with it last week with that drive-through penalty. That wasn't. I don't even know why it happened. Like there was no reason I should have gotten the drive-through off that start. So.
All right, well, here it is. I got some good news for you because the server actually just updated. So you took over your second spot in the points from Sweeney. You have 521, and you're only 10 points behind Wagner now. So you're right there.
All right. Just got to beat him in the next race. Let's do it.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll let you go, man. Sent you back to the D3, D4 race chat, but congrats again on the win, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot.
You got him. Alrighty, let's bring in our P2, Andrew Berg. No, he's let's see what did he think about this battle between himself and Dudley. Let's bring him over here for a second. Here we go, guys. All right, Andrew Berg, you hear us at the booth.
Sure can, guys.
Take over, Adam.
Well, you didn't quite get the milk, didn't get to kiss the bricks, but you were pretty darn close. It came all down to that pit stop. Take us through that last cycle and what happened there, and what were your thoughts on trying to keep him behind you before that happened?
Yeah, he was faster than me today, and I kind of saw it. We exchanged a few purples early on in the race, but it became clear to me that he was going to be faster on pace today, so I had to race smarter. But unfortunately, he didn't make a mistake really, and he was solid. Dudley was solid the whole race. All I can hope for is someone in D4, maybe if Dudley bumped you, if he spun you, if he looked at you wrong, please file a ticket. I would appreciate it. But no, honestly, he was great. It was a great race, and the 801 McLaren got in the way for me a little bit, and I would have loved to have raced Dudley a little more, just wheel to wheel, and maybe if I wasn't faster, that was my opportunity to just kind of show him a wheel or get in his mirror, but I didn't get that to happen. So a little bummed in that sense, but hey, more points for THR Boot.
Absolutely solid day. You definitely still capitalized on what you were able to do at a slight disadvantage throughout the day, and your equipment included. So you're not racing with familiar equipment and stuff this week. So, but yeah, with all that considered, all those factors considered, still a really strong day for you. Just congratulations on the day. And Raph, you got anything for him?
No, yeah, I was just giving a quick update. You finished with that P2, and with Dudley winning and Nick dropping a few spots due to that whole turn 1 scenario, and Chris having a strong finish. You're still within reach for winning the championship, just so you know. I'm just saying it's possible. So you guys all bunched up, and a win is basically 110 points, and so things happen next week at the Glen. Like I said, it's up for grabs. So the individual championship, team championship, looks like you guys have pretty much solidified that you guys might have already got the win on that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see next week. It's up for grabs. You guys are going to put on a show. So still, like I said, congrats. With the circumstances, different paddles and all that, still a heck of a race.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, it doesn't mean you don't have to have the best sim rig to get a good time. So maybe I might return those $700 pedals.
Just ask for a refund right away.
No, I didn't order those. That was my wife.
So a mistake. I just used my Logitech.
Yeah. I meant to not click.
All right, Andy.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Appreciate
See you next
it, man.
week.
Take care, Andy. Appreciate it. Alrighty, let's bring in Jess P3. He wants to talk. He definitely wants to talk. He wants to talk about his battle with Big Daddy. We're going to compare that over to our battle last week. Here we go, Jess. You hear us at the booth?
Jess Osborne back-to-back podiums?
Yes,
You heard
sir.
it here.
Who would have thought?
Look at
Who would have
that.
thought? Not me.
P3. Hey, so talk to us a little bit. I know you were kind of won a little bit of revenge with Big Daddy last week because he was P2 and you were battling with him for now. He's basically behind you. How did that go for you?
Yeah, he's pretty much contributed like 50% of my gray hairs now. That was white knuckle, pretty much start to finish, because he was hounding me the whole time, and he pit when I did, and he followed me out the whole time. And it didn't help that my pit entry, I was overshot my box, so a 3.5 second lead turned into like 1.5 second lead.
Mm-hmm.
It was really scary. But yeah, from the start, I knew that pretty much the best I could hope for was P3. I got really lucky, of course, at the turn one shenanigans. I dodged all the drama on the outside and took the apex. And from then on, it was just pretty much the top six of us all alone, just driving. And I knew that the P1 and P2 just had too much pace. I'd never catch them unless they, pit on the wrong time and got caught in traffic or something stupid. So I was pretty much just driving by myself, trying to keep Big Daddy in my rearview mirror the whole time. But he was a machine and was pretty much lapping identically to me the whole race. So aside from one little lockup that he had, a game froze, and one overshot corner in like the last 3 laps, I think he would have had me. So really exciting. I don't think anybody's more surprised than I am than I'm up here because I did not practice that much around here. But I did put in some laps yesterday, and I don't know, got in a groove, and I've been in it since. And in the practice session before this race, I set a new PB. So I don't know, the stars aligned, man.
Yeah, I mean P6 to P3, you can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, you set the right off the bat with your qualifying lap, you had it up there, and I was like, oh, he's gonna take this. You know, he's like, I didn't contribute too much early in the season. You're just coming through with 2 podiums in a row. So I'm like,
Yeah, got to
yeah.
make up for lost time.
I mean, that was pretty good driving overall. Like I said, we were following there with Big Daddy pretty close. And yeah, I mean, you missed that lap, the turn one scenario, and then gladly you were way up on the field when the entire track almost turned yellow there at the end of the of the back straight. So good thing you avoided that whole mess because it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, huge luck.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I know you got some revenge on him. You're able to keep your Porsche ahead of his this time around compared to Olton. So you got some bragging rights there. We're even. Let's take it over to the
Yep.
Glen. Let's take it to the Glen. So let's battle it out on the last
Final
season.
round.
So, but yeah, I mean, congrats, man. Podium again, P3. He earned some good points there for the team as well. And Adam, you got anything for Jess?
Yeah, just as a testament to how hard you guys were battling. I was keeping an eye on you on my picture-in-picture feed before your pit cycle, and I was looking at the lap times. You and Big Daddy were both about a half a second quicker than the would-be leaders who had just pitted for about 3 to 4 consecutive laps. So
Really
you guys
down.
really must have been you guys really must have been pushing. And then
So he was
but after
really
that
on
stretch, I
it.
saw you were getting a little squirrely, and it looks like maybe the tires were getting a little heated up or something. But
Yeah, my tires were getting kind of warm right before I pit, but honestly, they felt worse when I came out. I felt really skatey. The car was twitchy, wanted to oversteer even more, and it didn't come back up, in the groove. So it was kind of hairy those last couple laps.
That was quite a difference in temperature from early in the race to towards the end. So we're kind of wondering, who's got their PSIs nailed down here for temps because it could have been a little scary.
Yeah, I increased mine by about 3 clicks all around, and that seemed to do it because they came into the green early into the race and they were fine until like the last 20 minutes, and it was a little warm.
Gotcha. Well, appreciate it again. You tuning in. Congrats on that second podium in a row. Let's see if we can bring it up in the finale once again, man.
Yes, sir. That would be sick. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, got it, Jess. Take care, man. Alrighty, we got your top three there. A little bit of an interview between the top three guys just to get their a little bit of a POV what happened on their end. But yeah, Adam, you wanna, before we close out our stream here tonight, as we get ready for next week, you wanna go over our sponsors?
Absolutely. Of course, those being a lot of you out there, first of all. So a huge thank you to you, our SRA sponsors and our title sponsors. who contribute all the time and help us put these events on and take care of the broadcasts and everything, keep expanding the league and the website and all of that goes on behind there. And of course, thank you to all the staff that helps with that. That's absolutely awesome to see what new features and everything are added all the time and what's still to come. So definitely pay attention and stay tuned for season 9. Just throwing that out there.
Season 9 is going to be great.
Absolutely. So a huge thank you to you guys, and of course our affiliate sponsors. So thank you for supporting us here at SRA, and of course Documise. Documise is a modern business solution for product management. So if you have a product that's in development or needs management for revisions and keeping track of marketing and all that sort of thing, Documise is the software for you. So go to documise.com to learn more about that today. And of course, support from Retro Saga. That's a North American based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems, including Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and much more. So enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. And of course, a big thank you to our affiliates, Track Racer. Track Racer provides redefined gaming with their high quality sim rigs and accessories. Use code SRATE at checkout to support us here. And of course, thank you to Armamentario. That's a toolbox for ACC that'll enhance your chance to win with a fully customizable and enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And of course, a thank you to Go Setups, premium esports setups for everybody. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. And we mentioned Discord. Go ahead and if you haven't, we'd love to have you here at SRA to join in the fun, join in the racing. Hit up that link below the live stream. Our Discord is down there. It's a great community, lots of fun, lots of great people, lots to learn, especially if you're slower drivers like me. There's plenty of fast people there, and they're all willing to share that information and, of course, share their love for racing and motorsports in general. And have a good time in general. We love talking with a lot of these racers after the fact and kind of debriefings, picking their brains as to what they went through during the race, and of course seeing their excitement on the interviews as they get victories and podiums and just have fun in general. So if you want to be a part of that, I encourage you to go ahead and join that Discord. And of course, join us next week for the next and final round at Watkins Glen. That'll be the final round of our season 8 here. We mentioned all the close battles in the drivers' standings. Those are going to come to a conclusion next week. Of course, about 10-point gap for the top 3 spots there. All of those drivers definitely with a chance to decide what's going to happen there. And who gets to do the shoey at the end of the season. So I'm eager to see how that works out. It's going to be a tricky race. Watkins Glen at night is a whole different beast because there's not really much track lighting to go by. So these drivers are going to have to use every ounce of skill that they can muster to decide who wins this championship. So, Raph, why don't you take us to the end here, sir?
Yes, so thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. And as you mentioned, you do not want to miss next week, folks. It's basically up for grabs. 4 drivers are within, basically, the top 4 drivers are 54 points apart. Things happen in the race like we saw happen today. That could easily go south for one of these drivers. If hopefully not, everything checks out. And but again, we have Nick with the lead, Dudley second, Chris third, and Andrew Bergen fourth. And then Selena Boonstra, by the way, P5. Just so you guys know, they're putting herself among, they're almost at the top of the board with all these other drivers. So, and then Jess Osborne, great finishes past 2 rounds. Just says he wasn't bringing in his weight. He's right there. Might be a little bit of a team battle there going on between himself and Selena. He's just what looks to be 31 points behind her. So, things could happen. We'll see what happens. A little bit of a bragging rights between the teammates, and so is Chris and Andrew, Sweeney and Berg, also just basically 30 points or so between them. 27 points, what it looks like. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, other than that, again, don't not miss the finale next week. Tune in at the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we will see you guys next week for the finale. Take it easy, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.